Hello everyone, this is In-Game Arts with another unboxing of the offline product game review. This is Hitman World of Assassination for the PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, this physical copy here comes with the update version 1.17, but sadly there was an update available. This update size was 2.2 gigabytes big and will take you to version 1.18 since the time I make this video. Now, like always, I play all my games completely offline with an unregistered account, and I didn't experience any massive game-breaking bugs or problems throughout this when it was accessible offline on Hitman. As well, I was still unlocking trophies with my unregistered account. Now, this Hitman World of Assassination for PlayStation 5 comes with 3 campaigns on one disc. It comes with Hitman 1, Hitman 2, and Hitman 3. And as well as there is a few accessible special missions, as well as another little mini campaign that involves like a cult group involving some kind of virus. That is fully accessible offline as well. But there are some things that are not available. There's an extra bonus mission stuff that is not available. You have to be connected online and download some kind of like in-app purchase kind of thing. As well as the Hitman 2 has 2 last levels that is not available as well. That is also another form of like an in-app purchase. You have to go to the store and purchase it. Now, please keep in mind, Hitman is a game that's primarily meant to be played online, where you have other modes like a freelance mode, assassination mode, and so on and so forth, sniper mode. There's a lot of variations, but all those other variations require internet. But you can still play Hitman 1, 2, and 3's campaign story completely offline, as well as I said, the special mission and an extra little campaign that involves some cult group. Those are all fully accessible offline. Now, you're going to hear some people say you can't save your progress, or there's like lots of limitations. While it is very frustrating how many things are locked behind some internet requirement, the overall core experience can be still fully played offline. Like the campaign, you can still experience the story, you can still progress the game in that form, and just overall enjoy the universe idea of Hitman. The things that you will not be able to save is like progression unlocking items. You can save. There is a save state feature in the game where if like you're trying to take out a hit target and something goes wrong, you can reload your save and restart right where you saved it. So at least that function is available. You can still technically save, but you're not saving progress. And I did went ahead once I downloaded that update to check out what is these online requirement stuff on my online PlayStation 5, and they're just challenges and stuff like that, and special like rewards for doing every variation of kills or hits on the targets. So the content really doesn't make sense why it requires an internet, other than some, like, I guess, some ladder board stuff, but makes no sense why that stuff is internet required, because there's many games in the past that has these kinds of features that never required internet for that stuff. But basically, you won't be able to save progress in terms of unlocking more outfits, unlocking more equipment, unlocking different accessible points and missions. All that stuff will be locked. So you can still enjoy the game. It's not completely unaccessible to enjoy the game, but it's just frustrating that so much of these extra features and content makes absolutely no sense why it's locked behind some online restriction. But as I said, you can still enjoy the campaign, and this was my first time playing Hitman series, any of the Hitman games. I played one a long time ago and I barely remember it, so this was my first time sitting down playing Hitman. And I did enjoy some of the concepts. The overall idea of like trying to take out a certain target and try to find variations and ideas and costumes and stuff like that to disguise yourself, to approach the target, and how you choose to take down that target is very interesting. It did get a little repetitive near the end, especially like in Hitman 3, the same concept, the same utilization. Nothing really changed up the gameplay in any form. Just go into a campaign, then pick one of the missions types and just follow the path and then eventually take out the target. Thankfully, the game does have difficulties, which allows it to be more challenging, like more guards, more security, and so forth. So at least there is that, but it does get a little repetitive pretty quickly because you're constantly doing the same thing. But over my overall experience of the game, nothing really went wrong. There's only two noticeable things. That is that I had some minor frame rate drops. The game clearly runs at a steady, smooth 60 frames per second, but I did have some frame rate drops in like bigger section maps, like a bigger world, like a big island or a big old city section in the game. But it only happened in two levels that I can recall where the frame rate occasionally stuttered because the level is just so big. As well as that, this only happened once where I had a target I wanted to assassinate, but he wouldn't move. I had everything set up. He talked to the person. That person's supposed to lead him to somewhere where my trap was ready to trigger, but some reason they wouldn't talk or interact with each other, and they wouldn't move. So all I had to do was I sprinted at them and ran into them and just make them like move, like do some like avoid animation, and then all of a sudden they started moving again. That was the only weird little hiccup. Other than that, the game ran relatively good. I didn't notice any other problems other than those two things, frame rate drops and the one time the hit targets wouldn't move. I do want to include this. It's not that big of a deal, but I just, in case somebody in the future asks about it, when you install the game and it has like push the options to check the disk information and you can manage the game content. If you check out the manage game content, you will see various languages that you can choose to install. And this does not require internet of any kind, but just keep in mind, just because it says you have languages doesn't add actually new languages. Those languages are already on the disk once you install the game. It does not include voice acting of different languages. I did check every single voice, and most of it is all just English. So if you're looking for maybe different voice acting, sadly that's not available, but it does support many other languages in terms of subtitles and like menu navigation and so forth. So just keep that in mind. Check out that managed game content. It has nothing to do with your language support. That language support's already on the disk when you install the game. Other than that, the overall game was enjoyable. The graphics were nice and stuff like that, if that's something you care about. The overall flow, the music's actually pretty good. Story didn't really captivate me all that much. And as I said, it did get a little repetitive near the end of the game, and there was only a few hits that I really enjoyed. Like there was one where you had to do some investigation work and try to figure out what caused a murder that has nothing to do with you, but you get to investigate it. I really enjoyed that mission. I just enjoyed just doing the investigation, piecing the clues together. That one was really fun, and there was a few other ones that were interesting. The only thing that I had a problem with was that the game gives you missions, and you can pick those missions and follow through with it. And eventually that will help you take out the target. I get that. It's supposed to help the player because it can be very convoluted to know how you take down this target in a specific manner. The only problem is that it felt like I was on rails, if the best way to describe it, where I felt like I was being led along. I didn't really feel like I was in control of how I want to take out this target. It's more like the game was like, here's how you do it. This is how you should play the game. This is how you should proceed through this. I don't know, it just didn't feel as liberating in terms of me taking out the target how I want to take out the target, if you get what I'm saying. Again, that's a minor nitpick. I still enjoyed it. I still had fun. It's actually been... I actually was playing it, and I was actually thinking, it's like, man, it's been a while since I played like a stealth game. And it's very interesting to have this game where it breaks it up, where you have stealth, but just you can wear these disguises when you go through the campaign. It's definitely different, though sometimes immersion breaking, because there's a few times where I was wearing a disguise, and I totally did not look like a character that I should be disguised as. Like, I should have a beard and all this other stuff. Like, people should know I'm not the right person, and they all believed I was the right person. Or other times where there's these people who can recognize me even though I'm wearing a full mask over my face. It's like, how can you even tell who I am? It's just certain moments like that. I get it. Game-wise, they have to make sure it can flow and work and function, but it just seemed funny at times. But in the end, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. It's just more of a bittersweet enjoyment because this game could have been a lot more better, a lot more enjoyment if they didn't have these online restrictions and stuff like that. And of course, not all the content is technically on the disc because there are all those extra missions and extra stuff that are clearly a in-app purchase. We purchase it and download it and everything like that. It's probably already on the disc. You just have to unlock it with a purchase with a key. So it's just, again, I do not understand these developers or publishers making these games require internet connection. It's one of the most silliest and frustrating things I've ever seen in gaming for a single player experience, because all these features that they announced that has these online requirements, none of these games in the past would have had. They would have had the exact same features and content, just no internet requirement. It makes no sense. It's frustrating. Hitman World of Assassination is not a bad product, or more specifically, let me say, it is a bad product, but it's not the worst product we have seen, like Hogwarts Legacy, where the thing that's on the disc is the tutorial, and you have to download the rest of the game, or like, let's say, Gran Turismo Sport, where you couldn't even save progress at all unless you were connected to the internet. You couldn't even really play you can't even touch the campaign unless you were connected to the internet. There are clearly worse games out there in terms of what's on the physical copy. At least Hitman World of Assassination, you can play the entire story and still save your progress, and it even has a few extra bonus missions that can be completely played offline as well. So it's not the worst. It's still a bad product, and it's still just frustrating. These developers and publishers are doing some of the most stupidest things for their games, but it's still fun. You can still enjoy it, and for someone who's like me, who's never bought any of the original Hitman games or never played the original ones on the PS2 and stuff like that, it was interesting to play this for the first time. And I can say recommend it. Now, if you can find a used copy, or the copy gets cheaper down the road, you could definitely enjoy this game completely offline. So in the end, thank you all so much for watching. I will try to leave links down in the description if you're interested in a copy. As I said, wait for maybe a used copy or get the cheaper copy, just because of the online restriction. It's just more that, because with that online restriction, it's just silly. It's just frustrating, and I don't encourage supporting that kind of practice because it makes no sense. It does more damage to the game than whatever benefits they think that it includes for the online requirement. So like always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next unboxing video. Bye-bye!